Coming up to us 2 minutes after 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, it's time once again for our Business Breakfast segment. And again, we want to thank Value Optical for sponsoring today's segment. We place the focus on Term Finance SME and their role in assisting small and medium-sized enterprises during this time of the pandemic. We've heard from some in the business sector of the pains experienced with financial institutions during the pandemic. On the other hand, some people were forced to create new streams of income, resulting in the birth of their very own businesses. Well, let's get to the perspective now of Dr. Christian Stone, CEO of Term Finance SME. And as I told him before we actually start our interview, he'll translate all of that fancy title to me in plain English to understand what the options are. He's also a director with Freestone. A very good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Morning, Fizuri. Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Tell us about this organization, the Term Finance SME and what it really aims to do.
Sure. So Term Finance SME is really an organization that was created with the intention of providing finance to micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. So, we really identified that within the marketplace and the traditional banking system, there was a big gap where small businesses had a terribly hard time getting financing. So you would need collateral, for instance. But we've removed a lot of those requirements and made it a lot easier for SMEs to access financing, which, of course, during the pandemic, is particularly important.
So what do people have to do basically? Because I'm on the website right now, mytermfinance.com, to get some sense of it, and I'm just going through the home page sort of thing. What do people have to do essentially if they want to access financial support, and what are the requirements? Where do they have to go?
Sure. So what I'll make it a bit easier for you. So people can just visit sme.tt, so www.sme.tt. When they go to the website, there's just going to be a very simple application. So the first one is probably about 5 minutes of your time, where you just give your name of your business. We will be in contact with you. So there isn't any waiting in lines. You can do this on a Sunday night while it is, you're watching the TV6 news. Once it is you have applied, we get in contact with you and walk you through the process of submitting your documents, which might include, just a slight performance report or some identification, or, we tend to rely a bit on your past credit history to kind of understand where you are and how it is your business might perform if it is we were to do finance.
I'm glad you paused to remember the TV6 news and you didn't mention CNC3 or TTT and so on. We'd have ended the interview right away. We can't tolerate the competition around here. But tell us about this organization, your involvement in it. Why have you chosen to be part of this particular initiative? Just give us a sense of the history of it.
Sure. Well, I've been involved in the SME sector for pretty much my whole life, I would like to say. So when I was doing my undergraduate degree, let's say I'd written a business plan. I was really excited about this business. But of course, coming out of school, I have no resources. I didn't have any money. So I was like, of course, I could just go to the bank and get a loan. I was quite naive. But once you do go to the bank, you quickly learn that, hey, unless it is I have money, I'm not going to be able to access money from the bank. And so then it becomes, well, where do I find these funds? Because in Trinidad, there is a very quiet, almost non-existent angel investor network. And there's pretty much no venture capitalists. So what ends up happening is, SMEs or small business owners, entrepreneurs, go to their friends, go to their family to try to access financing. But of course, people who may be coming from underprivileged areas, you may not have the opportunity to go to auntie or uncle who might be able to lend you money for your business. So what do? So, we had this vision of saying, okay, if you have a working business model, if it is you have something that is innovative, that has potential to be a moonshot, we want to be your partner through that business. So we don't only provide financing to our customers. We also go above and beyond and try to connect them with other entrepreneurs. Or we try to provide consulting on our end, all free of charge. Because, at the end of the day, we believe the success of our SME clients is going to be the success of our own business. So we're very invested in the SME ecosystem and trying to help these companies grow.
And in relation to that, because we see now, because of the economic situation, a lot of young people especially, or even not so young, are reinventing themselves. They realize that there's no future in this job that they might have had and so on, and they need to really get going with their own business, fulfilling their dream, even in these difficult economic times. And as you said, they may be intimidated. They may not have the parental support, the family support, that business history in the family, that they could get some sort of financial support. Is it an intimidating process? Because some people are, a little put off by bureaucracy and all that is required, meeting stringent requirements and so on. Are they going to be selling their soul to the devil to get some financing? How does it actually work?
Well, I said, Fazil, I personally have been through the process, and I do understand the intimidation, and we pretty much wipe away all of that. So, we are, again, invested in SME. So, the kind of requirements that the bank may need, we don't require. We have very innovative and non-traditional evaluation techniques that, again, that is centered around SMEs. So if it is you were to go to traditional finances, they want audited accounts or they want to check every dollar that passing through the bank account. And of course, we try to relieve a lot of those requirements and really focus on who is this individual? What does this individual do? How long have they been doing it? Are they good at what they're doing? Is there potential for their business to grow? And once all of these factors align, we're going to be very happy to support you. And I wish I had bought one or two of our clients because, they tend to speak very highly of us. And the reason is, if it is you a big shot, you can go into a bank and they'll send you into the private banking room and, you feel like that. But if it is you an SME, you have to stand up in line and you'll be lucky to talk to somebody within a month. But in our business, the SMEs are the big shot. So they feel very appreciated and welcomed by us, and we make the process as easy as possible in order to access that financing so your business can grow.
Does that therefore imply an element of risk on your part? Because if there are certain subjective factors based on whether this person really looks to have that energy or that drive, and they clearly have a plan, they just need that extra leg up to get them going, how do you balance those different parameters?
That's true. There is definitely an element of risk. But as I said, we use some very innovative scoring techniques that are heavily based within statistical, methods. But, here's the point for you. I think it's as little as 11% of SMEs have ever been able to access any financing at all. I think in Latin America and the Caribbean, there's the International Finance Commission or Committee had said that 87% of financing needs are unmet. So what that actually means is that there's a huge market pool of applicants, of businesses who want financing. So is there risk? Yes, but there's also 200,000 plus people who are employed in the sector, many of whom are very credit worthy. So for us, it's really about saying, okay, how do we say, or how do we evaluate correctly to know those people who are going to be able to service their loan and pick them out of the lot? Because yes, not everybody is going to get. But to the same extent, we finance more SMEs, I would say, at this point on a per capita basis than pretty much anybody in the country.
And therefore, is now a particularly difficult time, or people defaulting on payments, and is there a level of flexibility when it comes to that, as far as those who would be putting their lot in with SME-TT?
Certainly, I haven't heard much out of the banks after this lockdown, but, one of the things that we have done is already start to contact our clients who we feel may be in need. So, the hairdressers that we may have on staff, or the restaurants that we may have as clients, and tell them, listen, hey, do you need a deferral? Is there something that we can do to help you? Because at the end of the day, we like to talk about all being in it together, but I don't think everybody carries the burden in the same way. And because we're invested in our SME clients, we want to go the extra mile to make sure that they're going to be okay through this pandemic.
And you mentioned that deferment, and that has been a sore point with many in the business sector, with the commercial banks, because what was thought to be a 90-day window or period, actually, when it's compounded with interest, turns out that you have to pay a lot more. How does that work with SME-TT?
Well, we take it on a case-by-case basis. So not everybody in the first instance is going to need the deferral, but some people may need a deferral, and we're going to renegotiate the terms of their loan. So can you make a reduced payment? Okay, we'll deal with that for a while. Is it that you want to postpone and just collect the interest during the time? We can deal with that. So, we aren't as fixed and tied to rules or all of these different conditions that the traditional sector may have. And we are a lot more willing to be flexible in how it is we defer and how it is we deal with our clients to make sure that they get through this pandemic as best as possible.
if and when you socialize, and this is like an aside, I don't know how much socializing goes on now in the time of COVID-19. Do you get a lot of stick from the commercial banks and they're taking away business from them?
I mean, here's the thing, Kazir, is they're not interested in business to a big extent. You know, if you have a small business, try going into the bank and telling them you want a loan and see what happens. You know, it's just not going to happen for you. In fact, our statistics tell us that as little as 1.5% of the funding that is required in the SME sector comes from banks. Is that because they don't have the liquidity? No, they have tons of liquidity. What they see is the risk factor because the SMEs come without collateral and the agents at the bank are, for the most part, unable to ascertain or to evaluate what is a good small business because they don't have that training and they don't have that experience. So having had the experience and the training on our side, we are ready, willing, and able to lend to the smaller businesses, regardless of whether or not the commercial banks are willing to.
What would have been the genesis for this initiative on your part? Because you're involved with Freestone, you're a business person, a successful business person, and so on. Some would say, well, you know, why this focus on assisting small and medium enterprises to really get themselves going?
You know, when you're in Trinidad, you know, a lot of times you go to school and you think, should I go the energy path or should I not go the energy path? And, you know, I have very early on chosen from Form 3, I want to do my business subjects. I want to go down the road of doing business. And I think the thing is, you know, trying to support those people through that process and saying, how is it that I can actually walk the talk? So we have a lot of talk in the country about, oh, we should diversify. But I don't see a lot of action towards diversification. And I don't just want to be somebody who's a voice calling for diversification and not doing anything about it. So I feel as though, you know, it's part business, but it's very much part social initiative because I love my country. I want Trinidad to be the best. And I am seeing that the energy tunnel is closing in on us. And what are we doing in order to support the other areas? I'm not too sure. But I'm not going to just stand around and wait for other people to take that mantle. I'm going to be the one to initiate the change, and that's what we're trying to do through my business at Freestone and also SME.
And as far as the people who come through the door at SMETT or contact you all via the website and make their initial queries, do you get the sense that there's that real desire and that there is that discipline, that wherewithal, that vision among many of our aspiring young business people in Trinidad and Tobago to really create something meaningful? Because there's so much negative that is being said about, you know, young people especially and businesses and whether they're really serious and so on. What is your own sense of those who come through the door?
I mean, you would be amazed at the kind of passion that these people come to. You know, a lot of times it's difficult because even though we have the models that might tell us this business is going to be credit worthy or not, when you hear the story behind it, sometimes it overrules the model. So the model might be saying yes or it might be saying no. And we say, but based on the passion that this person is bringing to the table, we want to support it. And, you know, we talk a lot about the Elon Musk or the Zuckerbergs or all of these, you know, people who have the moonshot ideas that came from nothing. And why is it that it can't be possible in Trinidad? Like, why can't we have a Zuckerberg? Why can't we have a multi-billion-dollar organization that was started in Trinidad? And I think if it is we continue on the path that we have always gone where those things don't happen, well, it will continue not to happen. But we're looking at non-traditional, we're looking at different ways of doing it and evaluating. And I think very much so that we not only have the talent, but we're going to be developing the capability to make this happen in the future.
And before I ask you to just remind everybody about the basic contact information on the website and so on, if I could respond to that query that you posed, it could be said, well, look, the Elon Musk and the Zuckerberg and the Steve Jobs and so on, they would have had the cushion that allowed them to fail many times over, whereas some who are in a very vulnerable situation in Trinidad and Tobago, if they fail once, that is the end of that.
Sure. I mean, I disagree, to be honest, Fazir. You know, no, in Trinidad, there isn't a culture of having to save face. If it is, you know, you didn't do well in your business, that's experience that you're going to learn from. And I'll be fair, I've failed in many businesses. But here I am with a new business trying to help other businesses. So why is it that somebody else who has failed can't rebound, can't come back from the ashes and actually rise above it? So I think that, you know, we have the passion locally, we have the talent, you know, we have a very educated workforce, and it's about time that we start investing in non-traditional ways so that we could build our productive capacity beyond what has been the norm in days gone by.
And Dr. Christian Sohn, therefore, as we come to the end of our dialogue this morning, I want to thank you very much for being part of our Business Breakfast segment with the support of Value Optical. And if you could just give the contact information again for anyone who would like to reach out to Tim Finance SME TT.
But first, let me thank you and the team for allowing us to come on this morning. And the contact information is very simply www.sme.tt. And once it is you visit the website, it will guide you through. You can see the interest rates that are chargeable online. You can investigate the terms, and of course, you can always give us a call to talk through it a bit more.
Dr. Christian Sohn, thank you very much once again for taking the time.
Thank you.
Indeed, talking about the issue of financing and businesses and opportunities and the requirements and indeed providing a much more flexible and maybe even visionary perspective as far as helping small and medium enterprises, startups and so on to get themselves going. Everyone needs a hand in some way, and maybe this might be a viable opportunity for you, and you have all the contact information as well. Well, as we conclude this Business Breakfast segment, here's an image of an iguana on a sugar apple tree submitted by a viewer. The fellow looks pretty sizable as he's taking in the morning sun, as they have to do, as these cold-blooded reptiles need to be warmed up before they can get going. Maybe you like sugar apples as well. We'll be right back.